Yeah, I guess as Gordon Gekko would say, capitalism at its finest.
Right.
Which is kind of true. And what was it, Adam Smith that called it the invisible hand?
It is the invisible hand, indeed.
Right?
Yeah.
Where you grant this one thing that you own property, and then you watch what happens around it. You watch and then there's a market, there's a bid, there's an offer, and then this grows.
Capitalism is the reason why we have this innovation. Right? You're not going to have sort of this innovation. I mean, what made America and still makes America the most innovative country in the world is the fact that it still has sort of this incredible amount of innovation, disruptive innovation that you're able to do because there is an incentive to do so. And the problem is that because of the method in which capitalism is currently extracted, because of machine learning and AI and all that kind of stuff that's happened now, and technology in particular, the feeling is that capitalism has become extractive. And therefore, by engaging in capitalism, you must be doing something bad, right? You must be taking away from something from somewhere because you're not actually appropriately sharing it with the ecosystem, which unfortunately has become somewhat true. We've basically created generations of, managers and business operators that are thinking in terms of zero sum. And we used to have governments that were, able to enforce antitrust, for instance, right? And sort of, lock down on monopolies. There's a reason why antitrust was invented, because the people understood that actually when you have a monopoly, it becomes actually the opposite of capitalism in the sense that it becomes anti-competitive, right? So the spirit of competitiveness still needs to be there. So this is why we're so excited about Web3, because Web3 has a naturally anti-competitive nature because the data is now sitting in an open paradigm. So that means I can come to you and say, oh, you're worth $5,000 for Facebook. I know that because I can see it on the public ledger. Come to me and I'll pay you $4,000 instead. At least, you're able to bid the fair price. Maybe, and then you as a customer can have a choice. Oh, I'll go there for money. Or maybe you don't go for money. For instance, many people choose a job, not because it makes the most money, but because it gives them the most satisfaction, because they want to be in this community, because they love it, right? So it's not, but it makes at least a decent living. And they choose that lifestyle over something else. Right? It's, many of us don't choose something just because we make the most money out there. Again, if you come from a Wall Street culture, maybe that's your value system. But the vast majority of us actually don't live life this way and don't, want to live like that way. So I think that's another element. And when there's transparency, the efficiencies of the market come to play because someone else will come to you and make a much more reasonable offer, which is, by the way, what Web 1 did when it comes to resources, right? The reason why, the farmer in China was able to get his fair price of rice is because the internet told him that someone in America would pay, 100 times more than what he used to sell it to that middleman. So what does he do? He says, I want more, and because that's fair. And if that middleman was not going to give it to him, someone else said, well, I'll do it for you because there is a capitalist outcome. There's an incentive to do so. So capitalism is really important. It's just that we have to rethink and reform capitalism in this new data age. And actually, I think Web3 is perfect for that.
It's fascinating how the blockchain and Web3 gives us a parallel look into kind of the things that we're doing. I don't know if you remember those old Star Trek episodes, like with William Shatner and Spock, and sometimes they'd be a parallel world and there'd be like them on the other side, but they were like slightly different, doing something different. And like Bitcoin kind of showed us this deflationary forward curve, and that there was a concept where, you have a fixed number of assets and you don't have money that you can print. And now, like you said, with the play to earn, we almost saw this ecosystem where you got to see like kind of in a petri dish of where property rights, this organism grew. And again, a lot of people would say, well, that just happened in lockdown and these people in the Philippines. And you're like, no, take a step back. It's because there were property rights that all these ancillary businesses functioned on the back of it. And finally, some of the value of the gaming could go to the members of the community,
correct,
as opposed to in the Web3 world where it really is more like a socialist world there, where they take everything.
If you take, for instance, one of the most popular games in the world out there, like Fortnite, for instance, the assets that are really, they're not assets, but let's call the virtual goods that people own are skins. If it was on chain, someone else, somewhere around the world, could literally open up Fortnite Fashion Week. And every person who was playing Fortnite could just simply go there with his skins and show it off, or maybe sell it or do whatever. And this could be an event, this could be an actual game, doesn't really matter. The freedom to do so for someone else. And the owner actually would be more delighted, right? It doesn't mean that every person has to do it. But I think many people will do it because it's just something cool. It's just something interesting. It's exciting. It's another way to experience it. Also, it makes the value and the utility of those same goods and assets in the original game more valuable and more interesting. So I think this is really the future of where that goes. If you think about the sort of ownership paradigm, when in a blockchain game, in the traditional app install economy, which as I said is like, more than half of what people make in terms of, the revenues in the gaming industry, instead of paying Apple and Google this value, which is, over $100 billion, this year, you end up giving it to the users because you incentivize them through ownership. It's like giving free land, for instance. Build on this land, or you can sell it. But the thing is, when you give someone free land, the chances of him actually maybe building something is far higher than when you give it to a platform or you give it to someone else who doesn't care about your land and he just sells it and goes away. And that's actually what's happening. In the advertising space, I'm advertising. Apple and Google happily take it and say, thank you for the promotional fee, the user you don't actually own anyway. And because you have to remarket it to the same user if you want to attract that user. And as they take that money out, they will almost never put money back in the system. That's why Web3 gaming is so exciting, because the end user who receives the benefit of the virtual land or the virtual asset that he can have, the percentage of people who would invest more or invest into the ecosystem is far, far higher. It's a healthier community. First of all, to have this land, I need to be kind of interested. There might be some speculators, but it's not going to be 0% that basically not participate. It's going to be even 10 or 20% is a much healthier number than what we see today with the platforms. So real value is coming back into the ecosystem by actually giving to the very players who you want to help enjoy and build that ecosystem. Right, so the spirit of that is alive and well. And it's actually a capitalist incentive because I'm giving you something to come here and play this world. But of course, to make more value, to make it a better experience for you, to make it more fun, you have to invest. And investing doesn't mean money. Investing can mean time, because time is value as well.
The greedy bankers are about to do it again. In 2008, they crashed our financial system and nearly bankrupted the entire global economy. Then they received trillions of dollars in government bailouts. And after, they demanded fat bonuses paid for by you, the taxpayer.
It turns out the banks haven't just been screwing the American taxpayers, they're also screwing over their investors. Turns out the banking industry is the worst place you could put your money, despite enormous taxpayer bailouts.
Now the bankers are back to take away your financial freedom. They lie and tell you that cryptocurrency isn't safe. They try to make it illegal for you to choose how to invest your hard-earned money. They lie and say cryptocurrency is used by money launderers and criminals. But look at the record. It's the banks themselves that launder hundreds of billions of dollars every year to the biggest criminal operations in the world.
Leaked documents have revealed how some UK banks have helped criminals, money launderers and Russians under sanctions.
American authorities discovered that the Sinaloa cartel moved $881 million through HSBC accounts as bank officials turned a blind eye to the illegality.
The bankers lie and say cryptocurrency is not a real investment. Meanwhile, the smartest CEOs in the world are buying billions and billions of it. The truth is that banks lie about cryptocurrency because it makes them scared. The banks take $9 trillion per year of your hard-earned money, and they are worried that they will finally be exposed. They're scared because crypto means they can no longer control your money, which means they can no longer control you. They are scared because you might actually understand your money and intelligently decide what to do with it. Now is the time for us to come together, fight back, and take control. It's time to educate ourselves, our families, and our communities. Because financial education means financial freedom. We know that cryptocurrencies will help us build the new decentralized financial system of the future. A banking system that is of the people, by the people, and for the people. A banking system where access to finance is a fundamental human right. A banking system that is free and fair and welcomes all humans on this earth. The DeFi revolution is happening,
We, the people, can no longer be fooled. We choose to take control of our finances. We choose to take control of our freedom. We choose to take control of our future. Join us, and let's take back our financial freedom forever.